Hey, bro.
Yeah.
How you doing, man? Can you hear me? Yours delayed for some reason. I don't know. Do I sound fine? Am I delayed? Okay. Well, we'll figure out what's going on with you. Well, I have so many subjects that I want to talk about. I don't even know where to start. I put in. I put. Okay. Yeah, sounds better. Yeah, let's say something else. I didn't hear it. Didn't hear you at all. Well, today we're going to talk about contending for faith. It's interesting because we think that faith is a deposit to us. God gives us faith. He releases to us the ability to have faith. He says, I give you faith as a mustard seed, like a mustard seed, I should say. And what we do with the seed is determined by what we want as an outcome. And if you don't, I have pepper plants that I planted. Stephen, I plant peppers every year. I'm trying to become a green thumb with peppers. I love spice. My favorite pepper right now. I sprinkle on everything I eat. On everything I eat, I sprinkle um, uh, Carolina Reaper. Carolina Reaper is my go-to right now. Yes, sir. And I was on a scorpion trend for a while, but I don't do hot sauces. I do straight just ground Carolina Reaper. I just want that straight, just straight. And it's like the fine thin. So every year I'm trying to grow, pepper plants, and so I have these new pepper plants that are growing they're quite well right now. But the desire of the reason you plant a seed is because you have an outcome. There's a desire for it. And so when
Yeah.
you don't treat your faith like you're moving towards an outcome, then you treat your faith like so I don't know what people treat their faith as just an opportunity to rescue. There's some people they don't call on God for anything until they need him, until they are in the trouble, until they want to get out of something, and then that's when they use their faith. But faith is not supposed to be that's not the original best use of faith, I should say. You
Mhm.
can use faith that way, but that's not the best use of faith. The best use of faith is to have an outcome that you want that's not based upon tragedy or crisis or trouble, but it's an outcome that's based upon a project or an objective.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
when you have faith that's going to be used in that way, then it's better that we learn to contend for faith that way, because faith is going to be contended for either way. When you are fighting for, the faith is a actual, like, if it's like a seed, it's an aggressive activity. You think about planting, we never think about planting a plant in a ground is an aggressive activity. Planting a seed in the ground is an aggressive activity. That seed that you put in the ground immediately starts to take territory. It starts to like overwhelm the ground and pull away from everything that's in the ground and
Mm.
use it for itself. It uses it all for itself. So it drains all of the nutrients out of the ground, to the point that the Bible says that if you don't let your land rest for a while, for a year, every 6 years, you gotta let that land rest so that it can grow back and get all the nutrients that it's been draining. It's
Wow.
aggressive. Planting is aggressive. So when we think about faith, we don't think about how aggressive faith is. Faith is aggressive. So if you're planting in a very negative environment, you're planting, I thank you, Lord. I need to get out of this situation. We need that. But there's times where if I'm like, please, Lord Jesus, that's not the right faith for the ground that I'm in. If I'm dealing with something that's aggressive, I'm feeling intense, I need to plant a seed in there. It's got to be aggressive seed. I've got to go. That's when I, give
Mm.
my big offerings. That's where I'm going to, do these things, because I'm aggressively pulling the nutrients out of the the problem here. I'm going to drain
Yeah.
this problem. I'm going to suck this problem dry until the point that it can no longer continue to be a challenge or a problem. You good?
Yeah, I need my
You got
notepad.
you got to drain it. So it's like there's times where we're sowing seed and it's peaceful times, and we just sow seed because we're happy. I'm going to sow seed because I'm happy. Woo, you're doing well, good. But you need something great. Now that's a different kind of soil, different kind of thing. So the soil you sow in is important, and the faith that you use to sow in that soil. So if you're in a problem time, a challenging time, do it audaciously. Whatever you do it audaciously. Do it out of
Yeah.
intensity, because in that, whatever that soil is going to drain. Now I've seen things, the same plants, the same things grow in different areas, right? You see that plant that's grow here in Washington. Went to a place and I saw a palm tree like in Washington. I'm like, okay, but they grow here, but the soil's different. I mean, they don't look huge. I mean, like you go to California, or you go to Florida, or you go to Hawaii. Those palm trees are like stacked, they're tall. But I think it has to do with the soil. I think it has to do with how that seed interacts with that soil, just like a cologne interacts with differently on every person's skin.
Mhm.
So I feel like we need to know something about faith, and knowing that faith is like a seed. Don't treat it like anything other than a seed. Really use it. Really use it. So if I'm going to, I said to the Lord years ago, I said, Lord, I don't want to have my faith develop through problems. I mean,
Yeah.
I know that comes, but I would much rather, if you got to train me in a level of faith, I'd much rather have a project. I'd much rather you give me a project that I have to train my faith on. So I'm believing for something instead of ducking for something. I don't want to have problems. I don't want to be training my faith on that. And so God constantly gives me projects, but I'm like, why does this project take so long? Why is this project, I'm fighting through this? Why do I have these people on my nerves? Because there's gotta, you can't have, faith does not always have to, it's not always going to grow in the perfect soil. You have to have faith that grows in tension. You have to have faith that grows in problems. You have to have faith. And so I don't want these out of control, crises thing. I don't like crises. I want faith that I create my own crises, but then I forget that I created it. God told me to start a business and I created this crisis. God told me to do this and I created a crisis. God told me to get married and I have someone who doesn't understand me, right? Then we have to work out. I remember when we first got married, I was like, Lord, this I know this woman that you gave me, right? But it was like, it wasn't that she was a bad woman. It's just, I was like, Lord, if she could just be like this and be like this and do like this in the work and job, because we were working together, we were starting a business together, and her skill set is completely different than mine. And she's a her personality is different. My personality is I'm a DC, which is a driving with critical eye to see things. Hers is she is she's a SC, so she safety and security along with that critical eye, but relationships that go deep along with that critical eye. So she likes safety. She's not a risk taker. She's not any of that. And so it's like, everything in me is like, probably you, everything in us is risk. Let's take some risks. Woo!
Yeah.
Grab that thing, that string, and swing on it. Okay, we don't even test it. Just swing it, right? Because then you got mixes the two. You fall in love with a CS.
And you're like, true.
Oh my goodness. Okay, Lord.
Yeah.
And I said, God, why'd you make her like this? And God says, I don't need you to pray for her to be like you want her to be. I want you to pray for her to be who I want her to be. I was like, okay. And then I realized when I was dealing with, because I'm always project. She was like, I take the project to her and she go, okay, I see this problem, this problem, this problem, this problem, and this problem. She lists out all the problems. And I'm like, gosh, you're such a cold water bucket of water on my dreams. I said this to her and she's like, you're my stress factor. It's like, so I was like, me. I said, you are, I said, God, you gave her to me, but the Lord needed to give me someone that would not allow me just to be. I would go out, I would have killed somebody or myself. I would have like, it would have been like dangerous. But she asked
Yeah.
me questions that make me think through things that I wasn't going to think
Mm,
through. And
yeah.
she's the wisdom aspect of God, even though I'm like, I don't really like it. I don't understand it. And the more I understood the power of the way God brings, he called her, Eve is the helpmate. And the Hebrew mind, the helpmate means one that opposes you. That's what we don't teach in Christianity. We
Wow.
teach, she's the one that comes along. She's my helper. And so we
Yeah.
think, well, she's gonna come in and file the cabinet, and she's gonna do the filing that I don't want to do. She's gonna do all the stuff I don't want to do because she's my helper. But that's not the
Yeah.
helpmate. That's not what that word means. It means that she's gonna
Wow.
oppose me. Well, every time my wife opposes me, it causes me to have a different level of faith. I have to rise to another level of faith, because I actually brought the first plan in the faith that I have. I used all my faith to come up with that plan. And now she goes, but I see these gaps, these problems, these challenges.
Mhm.
These are going to be issues. Then guess what? I have to go back, because she's opposing me. She's the one that stands directly against me, not to tear me down or destroy me,
Yeah.
but to actually go, time for you to rise up again. And then I have to rise up again. And then she goes, oh, and I forgot to tell you about this. And then I have to rise up again. Right. So that's the
Yeah.
power of she's not the adversary, she's the opposer. Right. And
Mhm.
so the power of that creates another level of me needing to go. I need to have contend for another level of faith. If my wife wants a new house, guess what I've got to do? I've got to go and find a new house. It's just that I can't just, it's like, well, baby, you're on a budget. No, she is on a budget, but I've got to increase the budget so that
Yeah.
she can get the house that she dreams of. That's why God gives us these relationships, so that they oppose our current level of faith. I don't even know why we're in this, but this is where we're at today. Oppose our current level of faith, that we rise to another level. Oh, babe, you want to go on a vacation? Okay, what vacation you want? I got to rise to a new level. I got a new level of faith. You want a new car?
Yeah.
I got to get a new level of. It's not for my job to
I
go,
love
hey,
it.
you don't have those things. She's not a child that is going to get spoiled. She's my covenant relationship. If she's happy, I'm happy. Right. So we have these, but then that's also along with you and I. We the iron sharpens one another, right? How
Mhm.
does that work? Iron sharpening one another. Iron only sharpens when there's like this like, so it could
Friction.
be people think immediately negative friction. But sometimes when you're obsessed with something, I mean, like literally, you showed me a picture a couple weeks ago of this property, and it hasn't left me. I keep thinking about it. I keep praying about it. I'm being sharpened on it. I'm being sharpened on
Mm.
it because I realize the truth of the matter is, if I was in a better position, I could actually come alongside of you and go, this is done right now.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
sharpens me. I'm just sharp. I'm getting sharp. I'm going, okay,
That's good.
Destiny's taking a lot of time. This is taking a lot of time. This is taking a lot of that. This is taking a lot of that. This is taking that money. And I'm spread thin in my money. So I can't go, hey, listen, I know you didn't ask me if I wanted to invest, but listen, I'm ready to invest in that
Yeah,
because
that's
this
good.
is a great idea. I'm in it. But that sharpens me. So when you
That's
share
good.
vision with me, if someone shares vision
Mm.
with me, it sharpens me. So needs me, faith needs you to contend. Faith needs you to have something to contend for. And if you don't create projects of contention, then the devil will be your contender. You will have an adversary instead of an opposer. Opposer is someone that is not like that. They're going to make you better. You lose to the football team.
Yep.
You lose to the football team. You don't go, you're my enemy, I'm going to kill you. It's not an adversary. It's an opposer.
Mhm.
It's opposition.
Yeah.
So now you go, listen, I'm about to go and work my tail off this next season, and I'm coming back thicker. My neck is going to be thicker. I'm going to be bigger, fatter. I'm going to lift more. I'm going to take more creatine. I'm on this, right? Then you come back because that opposition has made you now
Yeah.
better.
Yep.
Opposition
Yep.
makes you better. And Christians are trying to live without opposition. Now,
That's
we
good.
don't know the difference between, we don't live, no, this, an adversary. The devil's not my opposition.
Yeah.
We're not actually contending for anything together. We're not
Yeah.
actually even contending for the same trophy. We're actually, he's my enemy. That's a completely different approach. I don't use my faith against him. I use my authority against him. My authority is different than my faith, right? When it came to casting out devils, God called it authority. When he said to He was the centurion says, my child is sick, my servant's sick at home, because I understand that you have, you have the power to just send the word, Jesus says, I've not seen any much greater authority in this. But then he relates it to faith. So faith and authority to deal with an enemy is different than faith that is going to get me an award or get me to a reward, or that's going to get me to something that I'm contending for. By the time I'm dealing with my devil, I don't need contending. That's not my contention. He's not my workout partner. I'm here to destroy his works. My workout partner, people think, well, the devil's here to work me out. No, he's not here to work you out. You're here to destroy him. You're here to destroy his works. You're here to put him under your feet. You're here to completely conquer him. What you are here to work out on is some opportunities, some objectives, some projects, some plans, right? You're here to work out some things. So when you come to that place where you're here to work out, right? You're here to work out on some things, then use the project mind, not the problem mind. I don't want to use the problems in my life to be the thing that I'm working out on. If I have to, that's fine. That's because God saw that I wasn't giving myself enough projects to create that same kind of tension. So then he's not the author of confusion or problems, but there will be an opportunity for those problems to arise, because I don't know how to deal with the devil yet, because I don't have that kind of faith. I need the kind of faith that has authority over here in opposition to problems and challenges over here. So the Bible says in Jude 1:3 says, beloved, while I was very diligent to write to you concerning our common salvation, he's talking about things that are just common to being saved, I found it necessary to write in this dialogue to exhort you. Now, exhortation, edification is building up. Exhorting is from the word to call you, to summon you, to come over here, right? That summon. So when a person is called, it's like someone says, I'm called to, the ministry. Okay, what do you mean? They think they just ordering papers and go. It's a summoning for you to come and work with God. Come work with me in something. Come and work with me in this project. Come and work with me in this opportunity. And when you summon, so when he summons, he calls you, exhorts you, and he says to contend earnestly for the faith. Earnestly for the faith. So God's going to call me into a project to build my faith, not into the project to get the project. The project is just an opportunity. The project is I'm going to get the project, but it's really about building that level of faith. If he wants me to have another level of faith 2 years from now, he has to give me some pretty serious projects now, right? These projects that I'm working on right now, that you are dealing with, these crises or these challenges that we're all that rise up, they're usually not about the moment we're in. They're about the faith that we need 2 years from now. It's about the faith that we need, when it comes. That's when that's going to happen. I was talking to a gentleman yesterday. He wrote a book, and name of the book is and David perceived he was king, and he's a prophet Dale Mass, and he was saying for 40 years God had him as a pastor. 40 years. The interview is going to come out in a few weeks, and God had him as a pastor for 40 years, and then God said, when you're 70, you won't be pastoring. You're going to go and travel the nations. And the book takes off. I mean, like really explodes. He had it for 9 years, the last 9 years of his pastorate. And it takes off. 5 years of his pastorate, it's been 4 years. And it's just exploding. And he's traveling everywhere, preaching on this message. And he goes, everything I learned for those 40 years, I'm now using. It's like, but he was tortured for 40 years because he said, I couldn't grow my church. The largest our church ever had was 200 people, 225 people, I think he said. But the average was 150, 120 people. He just had that lid for 40 years. 40 years, he's frustrated with this. And yet he's thinking, God, why am I in this? Why is this situation? He gets out, and now he's affecting so many people. I mean, he's bestseller just all around. But it took he's 70. I think he's 74 now. But at 70, it took off. And he says, everything is now I'm at the prime of my life. He goes, now I'm living the
Wow.
best life my best life. And he goes, everything I learned in those 40 years, if I would have not had those, I wouldn't have been ready for today. I wouldn't have had those 40 years of just loving the 125 people that God gave me. I mean, it's like amazing. We can go through these projects that God asked, and God says, I've asked you to do this for me. I'm not asking. I know you want to go and be the mega pastor. I know you're going to, but I've asked you to do this for me.
Wow.
It's like, wow. Okay, God, you can ask us to do stuff that doesn't make sense to anybody, not even me. But what you're training me for, I'm thinking is about this moment.
Yeah.
And it's really being trained for another moment that you really need me to have that faith for. What does it take to have faith that you stay in the same small town, same congregation, 40 years, same, and he says, every time I raise up new leaders, they just leave because it's a small area, small town. They leave. And then he goes, God, I want you here. God wants him there. And he's like, I'm not going to release you because what I'm training you in, you don't see. I mean, now we get to see hindsight. I used to preach for him back in the day. And now I see hindsight. I'm like, he's impacting the world. He's traveling all around, he and his wife prophesying, and the book is all over. I mean, he's telling me the level of people that are reading this book. I mean, there are people in like highest levels of these billion-dollar companies, executives that are reading this book about, and David perceived he was king.
Yeah.
And they're getting rocked. But all of this influence is now coming back. He's like, and all the things that I get to share with him were all the things that I shared with the same people that I had for 40 years. Those same people. That's the stuff but it's in him. It's like, and I'm like, God, only you are a genius enough to know how to do this stuff. Because I would have probably quit. I would have left. Yeah. And my faith would have been shipwrecked, right? What is a shipwrecked faith? Paul says, man, that guy had shipwrecked faith. That's like, don't let your faith be shipwrecked. We need to come back and talk about shipwrecked faith once, because it's like horrible. We never think about that. We actually could be talking to people that just have shipwrecked faith, and they're blaming God and blaming the church, and they've wrecked their own faith because they gave up. They gave in, right? So I'm ranting, I'm talking, but I'm in this meditation. I'm thinking, Lord, there's things that God asked Abraham to do that it didn't look right. Things that God asked Noah to do, it didn't fit the norm. It wasn't like, oh, that's not a trending thing. Building an ark for rain, that's not trending.
They never even had rain.
That's not trending. So how many things could God ask you to do something, be completely committed to it as if it was trending, and it's not trending at all? Because we live everything based upon fads and trends now. We picked the song we're going to add to our reel if it has that little point arrow that says it's trending. Well, what if that's not the song that goes with it? What if that's not the right one that's really going to kick it to be viral? What if you have to pick a song that's not? Right. So I think we've got to come to this place where we're contending for faith. We're fighting. The word contending, it means to jump on it and to wrestle it to the ground.
Yeah.
So you have to first you have to jump on it, and you have to wrestle it to the ground and wrestle it to submission. So are you growing in a level of faith that you have to wrestle with it for a while, where you feel like, I want to quit. I want to just be done with this. That's when you're contending. If you're not feeling like you're quitting, you haven't started fighting for the faith. If you haven't started even working on the contending yet. If you haven't thought about quitting, if it's breeze and easy,
that's assuring.
You're still in the small faith zone. The small faith zone. That thing is still in the ground. The ground looks fine. It hasn't started to disrupt the ground where the ground is going to get upset. It hasn't started, because remember, seeds are disruptive. They're a disruptive force, and you put them in the earth, and they break out, and immediately they break out and they start growing and taking off, and they take from other things. It takes from your time, it takes from your family, it just takes. And then after a while, you got to go, okay, I've got to nurture this, and I've got to groom this the way I want it to grow. Otherwise, it's going to grow wild. And so that contending for the faith, You got contend. Then you get in a situation where, yeah, you have employees that are just like unfaithful, and you have people that are inconsistent because they don't know how to trim their own tree. They don't know how to trim the tree. I'm preparing for a message next week. I'm preaching at a conference, and the scripture, I said, God, what do you want me to preach on? And he said, the reprobate mind. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna preach on the reprobate mind at a conference. I said, are you serious? What are you trying to do to me? What are you trying to do? What do you want to do? What are you doing? What are you doing? And then I go and I feel like I need to go and really not just assume I know what that word means, but that word means to stop early on the test. When you're going through
Wow.
the test, to stop early, to don't let it grow to its complete, right? Don't let it
Wow.
grow
Yeah.
to its completion. So when you stop early in the test, man, I'm telling you, that's going to lead to a mindset
Mhm.
that feels like nothing, that you're unloved, that you're unwelcome, that you're right, because that the reprobate mind is not about what you do, it's about how you feel. You're unworthy, you're unaccepted. When you are unaccepted, you immediately start to act like you're unaccepted, and so then of course you turn the body of that man into, right, and the misuses of the body. The Bible starts talking about how you misuse everything. Well, it's important that we don't actually stop short of the test. We don't allow the
Yeah.
test, we allow the test to run its course, and we don't quit, because the
Yeah.
quitting brings into us a reprobate mind. Now, one of the things I found out about the reprobate mind is that the moment I quit on something, I actually start to think that God is going to quit on me. I start to think that
Mm.
God is not going to, and it's hard for a person who has a debased reprobate mind to trust that God is going to finish the work that he started. And so it's like, now, of course, you have no gratitude towards God. You take
Yeah.
your life in your own hands. So I know we're talking about contending. I want us to be people who contend for faith, not for
Yeah.
bills to be paid. Use the
Yeah.
bill to be paid to get your faith, but that's not what you're really wanting, because then you're going to have to do it again. You have to do it again. You have to do it again. At
Mhm.
some point, you're going to build the faith where your bills are always paid. You're going to build the faith
Yeah.
where you no longer have an employee problem. You're going to have other issues, but then these but you're contending now at that level, because this level means that the root system has been taking ground. And if the root system's been taking ground, you're doing well. And you're having
Mhm.
new problems now. Now the
Amen.
tree is grown out of control. Now it's like, I don't have control. Well, that's because your roots are down. The roots are not going to stop growing. The tree is now growing. Now you have to start pruning the tree. You have to start creating a system for the tree. You have to start knowing how the system of the tree works. You have to start doing the process. But it brings you to that place where you're contending for the faith. And
Yeah.
so he says, I'm here to want you to do it earnestly, with all your heart, with all your
Mhm.
mind, contend. So don't just barely go, well, I'm going to test this out. I'm going to see if this works, God. No, you're not going to see if it works. You're going to make it work, because
Yeah.
faith makes things work. Faith doesn't wait for things to work. Faith is not a waiting process. That's called trust. Faith is a making things, advancing process. And so the
Yeah.
more we walk in that faith, the better we are. I got excited. I'm sorry. I just started ranting. All right. What do you
Oh.
got?
I got notes, and like I was fighting back tears because you're talking to me. I've kind of expressed to you what's going on with us in the business, but there's so much, like you said. I heard the other day someone said, there's a miracle and there's a blessing, because we're not designed to build a business that runs just on miracles. Like you get saved as from a miracle when you're already drowning, because a
Right.
blessing goes ahead of you. So how could you live a life of blessing? Learning the stuff like how to read a P&L, burn rate, all
Yeah.
that stuff. Because if you don't understand that, then there is a miracle. I was telling my wife the other day, we're talking about just all the crap going on in the business. And I was like, we're just
Yeah.
learning how to operate this business. If somebody came tomorrow and said, I want to fully fund location number 2, and I'm not going to ask you to pay me back, I don't want to be the partner. It's like, if we said yes to that, we would crash and burn,
Yeah.
because we are barely figuring out how to manage 1. I was like, we are not going to be given location number 2 or opportunity number 2 until we can figure out how location number 1 works out. I was like, so as hard as this is, we're learning a lot, and like we've thought
Right.
about quitting. So I guess we're in the
Yeah.
right we're on the right
Yeah.
we're on the right
Yeah.
path.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hope it doesn't
You're on the
take
right
40
path. And
years.
because Yeah, and the thing that the reason franchises work as well as they do is because
Copy and
someone already
paste.
paved that path. Someone
Yep.
already paved the path of all the problems. And so
Yep.
they outthought the problems, they put it all in the manual, how it's going to work, and they put it
Yeah.
systematically. And then the problem becomes you, right? Because
Yep.
we already know how it works. So if you are creating your own franchise, then of course you have to be the one that figures out the problems first.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
whether that's franchise or whether that's expansion or scalability, figuring out the
Yeah.
problems, systemizing. So you're in that process. You are in order to have those problems, you had to grow.
Yeah,
You don't have those
100%.
problems if
It's not
you
even
didn't grow.
figuring
In
out the
order,
problem. It's the problem presents itself, and I got to figure out how to solve it. Like,
that's it.
okay, I'm not trying to like, what are the problems I could have? Like, we've updated our manual,
No,
our like onboard
no, yeah,
manual multiple times. We can't,
yeah.
we don't know what we don't know. And like in hindsight, it's only been 8 months.
I
Granted, the business has
know.
been it's existed for
As
five
busy as
years
your
from a
business
farmer's
is,
market.
right,
Yeah,
right.
we've been
But the
doing it for
brick and
5
mortar,
years.
yeah.
Yeah,
But it's
so
different from a
7 months.
trailer to the brick and mortar.
100%. The can of worms opened up. We went from 1 employee to 10, plus
Yeah.
all the other stuff, landscaping and all this stuff. So like, um, we're still new to this, and like I said, we can't create a solution without actually having the problem present itself first.
Well, you have to have the problem, and that's the only way that you figure out how you want to do it. Because you can go and copy what everyone else is doing, and you can learn
100%.
from that. But the fact
Yeah.
is what your whole culture is different, and so figuring out. I can learn some processes and some systems from people, but it may not address the complete
100.
problem.
Yeah.
So someone's asking Pete. He's Pete. I think you're in New Zealand. I think Pete's in New Zealand, or yeah. So he's asking about how do we walk in the daily to contend for our faith? And so the scripture says, "Contend earnestly for the faith which was once and for all delivered to the saints." So when you have an understanding, an objective, the objective for him was the saints have done this. You've seen them do this. You've seen how they've outlast. We see how other companies how they outlast, right? How Chick-fil-A or we see that. We know that those are it's possible to get past where I'm at. So I've got to contend earnestly for the faith that was once and for all delivered to the saints. So if it was delivered to them, then it's also been delivered to me. Now, if there's, so my objectives, my projects, the things that are in front of me, and then knowing that if I'm going to get there, I have to reverse engineer a little bit. So if I know if I'm going to go, if let's go to weight loss. If I have to get to, if I'm at 200, try not to give my weight away, but if I'm at 239, which is actually true, if I'm at 239 and I'm going to 229, then I know that I'm going to reverse engineer that. How am I going to do that? I know that I can consistently eat this many calories a day. I need to burn this many calories a day. I need to have this much protein a day. I need to have this much water a day, this much sleeping a day. So I'm now building out the system based upon my projected reverse engineering. Now, so then I will have to keep track of that. So today I'm going to weigh and measure myself, and then tomorrow I'm going to weigh and measure myself, and tomorrow I'm going to analyze as I'm going, but I'm also going to keep track of all the things that I know that I need to do in order to make it right. So if I'm going to lose if I'm going to be in the cutting season, then my bulk season's over. So I can't eat like I'm bulking. I can't eat like I'm trying to get thick. I can't eat like I'm trying to get ripped. I want something to show. Hello, I want all that work to be actually popping, right? So then I know I have to eat this many calories. So then I have a projected idea. Doesn't mean it's actual, but only way I can know if it's working is if I now take the actual and compare it to my projection. There's a lot of people that build business plans, but they never compare what their plans are actually to their actualization.
Yeah.
So when the more you learned, you do this analytic, you're very analyzing. I don't want to say analytical, but you do it well in your business. You did it in marketing. You do it, or you have sheets. You pay attention to what's coming in, what's going out, and the more you can look at the actual versus your projection, then you know whether or not you're contending properly. And if you are not hitting those numbers, they'll say you're over the mark every time. I'm over in my calories. I'm over in my I'm under in my water, I'm under in my sleep, I'm under in my exercise. Now I have to go, okay, so I'm actually not hitting the mark. I know what the projection is. This is what the faithful, the faith that was once and for all delivered to the saints was. That's the objective. That's the standard. Starting a business, whatever it is, then I'm going to have to change my measurements until I hit that projection. Because if I'm not yet on projection, I can't prove it. So I'm trying to prove the projection. And so if I am doing better, then of course I can change my projection because I already know where I'm at. So making those adjustments, analyzing, pay attention to what the details of the day, every day, and then knowing. So if you intend to be someone who's walking and hearing the voice of God, who's operating in the power of God, you want to see the signs, wonders, and miracles. If that's what your life, but you're not actually spending time to listen, then you won't hear when you're walking. So spend time to listen, spend time praying in the Spirit, spend time, seeking the Lord that way. If you want to have a biblical based, financially strong business, but you don't read the Bible, look into what the Bible says about business, then you'll never have the Bible in your business. You'll never have the values of the kingdom in your business. So just looking at the details of every day, having that something to measure those details against is going to be important. Well, we love you having you on, Pete, and New Zealand. There we go.
It's awesome.
You want to comment anything there?
What was the exact question? How do we contend every day?
Is how do we walk in the daily to contend?
I mean, I think something as simple as what you told me the other day is just set reminders. It's very easy to get caught up in, like you said, what's trending or what the norm is. Normal for the average business owner or whatever you're in is to go and be in it. Like I'm in a very busy, loud place. The vast majority of the day, there's always things coming at me, whether it's noise from the kitchen or people. I have a reminder every 2 hours, 7 days a week, my phone, 7 times a day, every 2 hours, it says time with God. Go to my office, shut the door, and then focus. Like you said, I come to the point where I have a little journal I carry around where I just keep tally of all the times that I've spent devoting to him. I have a prayer, first 2 pages that I've read. Yeah. Just vocalizing the things I'm going through and asking God to intercede and to protect me from certain stuff. And throughout the day, I mean, if I read this 7 times, it's like it says, meditate on the word. If you meditate on the word, keep it in your mouth, then you will be prosperous. Then you'll be successful. So like, I want to be prosperous. I want to be successful. Yes. So, keep the law in my mouth and meditate on it. In my case, it's 7 times throughout the day, plus the morning and before I go to bed. So it's just reminders, very, very systematic on how I do stuff.
Excellent. Systematic, analyze, pay attention, like you keep in track. You can follow your trend. You can follow your own trend because, I think the only reason we know something trending is because someone's analyzing it. So you create your own trend, you follow your own trend, you make sure that trend is projecting the right direction, and allow God to give you projects that he's going to call you into. He's going to exhort you to do. And usually those projects are bigger than anything you ever imagined that you would be doing or outside of the timing that you think you would.
Yeah.
And so allow God to stretch you and be stretched every day. Yeah, most often than not. So be stretched every day. And, I found it interesting because I think because that's my love language, be stretched every day. Come on, go for it. Grit, man, fight. Let's do it. Yeah, I want to be around people. But I find that I turn a lot of people off, which is quite interesting because people don't want to be in that grit all the time. They don't want to be all in that grind all the time. But the fact is, if you want something in life, it comes through that kind of grind. And I know we speak to the 2%er, but that's okay. That's who we speak to. We speak to the 2%er, and it's
like
not
you
for
said a while ago. It's you're a hunter. It's an animalistic mind on a certain levels. Are very animalistic.
Yeah, very animalistic. Very, very much a hunter. Yeah. All right. Well, this is fun. Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a blessed day. Thanks, everyone. Talk to you soon. See you later, Pete. Hopefully, I'll meet you when I come down. I guess, do they call down New Zealand down under?
I don't know
if they call New Zealand.
I don't think so.
Think Australia's down under. You guys are above under. No, you're to the. I'll see you next time. I'll see you. All right. Talk to you soon.
See ya.
See ya.